Hello, I'm Eric Singer, Gazette.com, and we are bringing you an exclusive here at the Gazette. That's right, live coverage talking the day after the election, a historic election here, the second strong mayor elected in Colorado Springs. And joining me now is Mayor-Elect John Suthers and Council President Merv Bennett. First, thank you both for being here.
Sure.
Hey, thanks for the invitation.
All right, first I got to show this to you. This was the headline of the Colorado Springs Gazette, loud and clear. And I'm thinking at this moment, that is definitely the mantra right now in Colorado Springs, loud and clear. All right, you've had some hours, very few hours, to think about what's happened last night and to talk about what's in the future. First, your thoughts hours after winning this election.
Well, I was humbled by the extent of the victory last night. You know, we'd done some polling. We felt pretty confident going into it. But to get 68% of the vote, that's pretty amazing. And I'm very touched by it. And I just have to conclude that I was hitting the right issues. The people in Colorado Springs want a collaborative relationship with the council. They want something to be done about the infrastructure, and that's the 800-pound gorilla as far as I'm concerned. What's going to happen here in the next several months, infrastructure-wise, and they really want us to do everything we can to attract, to get companies that are here to expand and to attract companies here with new private sector employment opportunities.
Council President Merv Bennett, once again, that historic election. This was a landslide victory. Mm-hmm. What do you see as far as a John Suthers collaboration with the City Council?
Well, I see it as very positive. What John has identified as the priorities are the same priorities that the City Council views as well. And this council is excited to move forward, working in partnership. There was a person the other day that came and said, you know, soon you guys are going to know who your partner is. And I said, you know, that's the word I like. We need to work in partnership to do this. Council has its responsibilities, the mayor has his responsibilities, but if we work in a cooperative and collaborative way, we can move this city to greater heights than I think we can probably even imagine right now. I think it's a bright future.
All right, let's talk about that future and the priorities in a John Suthers mayor. Infrastructure, specifically, and this has got to be the biggest issue probably of the whole election, potholes. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you can do about it.
You know, first of all, I assure the voters that I'll do what any good mayor coming into office would do. Mayor Bach did this, I'll do it. We will go through the budget. We'll look for all kinds of potential efficiencies. Are there things where we could put more money into public works than we're putting there? But folks, let's be realistic. We have a $259 million general fund budget. 53% of it's police and fire. People don't want cuts there. They don't want cuts in their parks department budget, which is like 6% of the budget. We're not going to be able to find in the budget the kind of money that it's going to take to deal with the problem that's been created over the last 15 years. We haven't been resurfacing our roads flatly. And so now we're out there playing whack-a-mole with these potholes. You know, you fill them, but the road's disintegrating around the pothole. It's right back there within 3 months. We've got to be doing a lot of resurfacing of these roads, and that's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's the council, the mayor, are going to have some discussions about what's the most we can move from existing funds, how are we going to make up the gap. We're going to get a lot of public input. I think we'll do some community surveying. And I'm hoping as early as November to go to the voters, council and the mayor together, saying this is what we think is the best way to deal with this, whether it's a half-a-cent sales tax for 5 years devoted strictly to roads and possibly stormwater, or whether it's borrowing it, and what kind of burden that would put on future budgets. Those are the things we have to examine. Those are the things we're going to be talking about in the next couple of months. But we got to move quickly if you want to get something on the November ballot.
Council President Bennett, one thing that hasn't been done during the recent tenure of Mayor Bach was to move quickly on anything, it seemed like. Sure. And it wasn't because of Mayor Bach, it wasn't because of the City Council, it was that antagonism between both sides. How are you going to stop that? So you and Mayor-Elect Suthers can push forward with infrastructure situations and anything else that needs to be done quickly?
Well, first of all, the last 4 years we've been addressing a structural change and a governance change, which creates a cultural change. I think we've moved past that. We're at the point now where council and the new mayor, Mayor Suthers, have said these are the priorities. We need to work in partnership and in collaboration to identify the best solutions for these. We don't know, as John mentioned, there's probably multiple solutions, but what's the best solution? We're committed. We've got a council that's committed to working with the mayor, excuse me, to deal with these issues and make sure we find the best one that we can present to the citizens. In the end, the citizens have to be engaged just as much as council and the mayor have to do it. We have to do this together. In the past, we've seen some times where council's gone one direction, mayor's gone one direction, citizens may have had a different idea. We lose when that happens. We've got to work on this in a partnership.
So is this a pledge from both of you to separate the angst, to separate the anxiety among voters, and to separate the antagonism that has been here previously? Right now, a pledge from both of you that, no, we're working together, we're going to make sure that
Absolutely.
Yeah,
doesn't slow
absolutely.
down.
And
Yeah.
Eric, there's going to be disagreements, and there's
Absolutely,
personalities.
yeah.
We have 9 personalities in the council. You got 1 personality in the mayor. We're going to have some disagreements, but one thing I'm very confident of, you're not going to. It's going to be personal conversations, a lot of talk back and forth. You're not going to, we're not just going to send each other nasty emails and stuff like that. I think people will be impressed immediately by the level of communication that takes place between the mayor and the council.
And Eric, there's a unique thing that I anticipate is going to happen, because John and I have already talked about this. We're going to sit down together with all of us in the same room and start that discussion and continue that discussion as we move forward. And it'll be a transparent discussion so that the community sees us working towards a solution. The best method forward is everybody thinks they have the best method. We don't know which one it is, but I think we will find out what it is as we get working together. It's a collaboration of the 10 different elected officials where the best decision is going to come from.
All right, let's go beyond the sound bites right now, which have been great sound bites, don't get me wrong, and I feel that collaboration between both of you just fostering right here as we're speaking live on Gazette.com. First 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, what are we going to see in a Mayor Suthers administration?
Well, I have to do what any person moving into an organization done, and I have a lot of experience with this. I've transitioned into district attorney, I've transitioned into attorney general, U.S. attorney, Department of Corrections. You have to spend about 90, 120 days immersing yourself in the organization. In the next week, I will meet with every single one of the senior managers. I'll learn as much as I can about their departments. I'll make my own assessments of what's going well. What could be improved? Are there some efficiencies that we could achieve? That's just something you do. You don't look for, and you look for common themes in terms of potential changes and things like that. That's going to happen. This relationship's going to begin to develop. I think we're going to have a mayor-council meeting as early as the first couple of weeks in June.
We'd like to do it as soon as we possibly can.
And started addressing some of the major issues. I've already indicated to Dirk Draper, the new executive director of Regional Business Alliance, I'll be there if you want to talk to companies that are here, thinking about expanding. I will be at the meeting with you, talking about my vision for Colorado Springs moving forward. And if you want me to go on the road to talk to some companies that are thinking about locating out at the airport, there's incredible potential in our commercial aeronautical zone out at the airport. I think that could be something that will really surprise people over the next several years in terms of the types of companies that we might be able to attract there. So I'm ready to hit the road running on all those fronts.
You were giving us some hints about what you're going to do in the next 30, 60, 90 days and beyond. Jobs. That's going to be a key thing that you're focusing on. Can you give us a hint of what you hope to do to attract, and also Council President Merv Bennett too?
Well, first of all, I'm absolutely convinced that part of attracting jobs is 2 of the things we've already been talking about. If you're here and you're thinking about investing $400 or $500 million in expansion of your business, you want to know that the political environment's going to be supportive of that. And I think creating a better political environment is going to help that, Eric. I also think that people who are here investing or people that are looking at Colorado Springs as a possible place to move, they want to see what's the city's investment in infrastructure.
That's right.
You know, they're not responsible for the roads, bridges, and things like that. And if they're going to spend $400 or $500 million in a new company expansion, what's the city doing in terms of their obligations in terms of essential city services? So if I think we can begin to address those things, we make ourselves automatically more attractive. Then it's a matter of selling ourselves to, as I say, getting out to employers. I know some of these employers. I've dealt with them as Attorney General. We have some large companies that have a presence here. And we say to them, look, this is a city with a bright future. Please invest here, expand. And we say to companies that are thinking about, boy, this millionaire's tax in California is really a bad deal. We don't have a millionaire's tax in Colorado. Come here. We've got tax breaks if you're aeronautic related out at the aerospace related at the airport. We can do a lot. It's a great place for your employees to live. So we're going to be very aggressive about it.
Speaking of being aggressive, Council President?
Well, and that's where council wants to be as well. We're right on board with where the mayor has just stated. This our highest priority is building a working relationship with the mayor, because once we've done that, then we can address stormwater, which as of today we recognize, and our neighbors to the south recognize, that's a critical issue. We're committed to working on that together. But we need to say, as we're working on that together, what does that look like? And if we have disagreements, what does it look like for us to resolve those in a constructive and productive manner? We know we can get there, and we're committed to that. All 9 members of council are committed to that, and we have a mayor that's committed to that as well. So I'm just feeling very positive. We're eager to get to work. Part of the problem when it comes to infrastructure and stormwater, John is exactly right. If I was wanting to build my business here, and I Googled Colorado Springs, and I said, there's all kinds of strife between the elected officials, and we're not dealing with our infrastructure, why would I want to consider coming? And we need to change that perspective and change that environment, and we will do that because we're all committed to it.
Now, you were talking about tax breaks. We do know that in the aeronautical area near the airport there are those tax breaks. Are you thinking perhaps maybe on the agenda to talk about more tax breaks to attract more businesses? And lest we forget, the current businesses that are already here.
Yeah, and let me just kind of state my philosophy about that, and obviously we'll have a discussion with the council. I am not totally adverse to tax breaks. I mean, in this competitive world, when you're competing with Salt Lake Cities, the Austins, things like that, you've got to be competitive. However, you've also got to be fair to existing employers.
That's right.
You're not going to bring somebody in here who's going to compete against an existing employer, give them a tax break, and not the existing employer doesn't have it. So, Eric, it's somewhat a case-by-case analysis. But if you can get a Sierra Nevada that's going to bring 2,000 jobs, going to do something totally different than anybody in Colorado Springs is doing, you're going to go to the state, as Colorado Springs did, and say, can you give them some state economic incentives? And they did. And the package that was put together was instrumental in getting them. Those are the kinds of case-by-case things that I think you have to work on to get employers to come here, because I guarantee you the other communities are doing the same thing. But it has to be done very carefully. And as I say, you have to be absolutely fair to existing employers.
Well, and I agree with that. We've got to look at the return on investment. If we're going to give a tax, or give a benefit, there has to be a significant return back to our community. Absolutely. To make it worthwhile. And I feel strongly that, just as John stated, if we have a local business who also can give us a return on investments, they ought to get the same deal. If they can provide the same return on investment. So, that makes it fair. That's not picking losers and winners. That's an investment back into our community that everybody wins on.
All right, let's do a quick lightning round for just a moment.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt you.
I think we also have to be, we have to take a look philosophically about urban renewal. I think we need to put the urban back in urban renewal. As you know, one of our urban renewal projects has been the North Gate, and it was raw land. Historically speaking, urban renewal is to take blighted areas and try and make them productive areas of your community. And I think that's what we ought to concentrate on. You could make an argument in North Nevada we did that because that wasn't a particularly attractive area of the community. We've had a lot of our downtown area. I think the Plaza of the Rockies was a urban renewal, Alamo Corporate Center and things like that. And as part of the construction of the museum, we're going to have an area down there that is ripe. This museum can be a real catalyst for that whole area of Colorado Springs, and I think we need to strategically use urban renewal and some of the tax incentives that are involved there.
All right, let's do a quick lightning round, and we'll be talking about, just before we wrap up. First, you were just talking about urban renewal and southeast part of Colorado Springs. That is in need of urban renewal.
Well, it is currently an urban renewal zone. The southwest part of downtown is an urban renewal zone. We have done an economic development study, the southeast part of Colorado Springs on the South Academy corridor. We will use that information to look at those areas. We also need to look at the areas on West Colorado because that's a significant area, the area that's called no man's land that I've been heavily involved with. But John's right. We've even talked about South Nevada. That area needs some review. East Platte could also use some review. But the point is, as John said, it needs to be urban, and it needs to be dealing with areas that do truly qualify for blight, to increase the business structure that's in that, and increase the values of the property that are around there. So everybody wins on that as well. Southeast
corridor is a huge problem. And it's been studied to death. We need to take some action. The Hancock Academy intersection needs to be realigned. That's kind of a eyesore down there. Make pedestrian, bicycle traffic and all that kind of stuff more amenable. Some of the transmission lines are going to be just too expensive to bury, but others should be buried. And it's an eyesore. And we owe it to the citizens of the southeast quadrant also to make sure they're adequately policed, and that probably means investment in a larger substation down there, because the one that's currently down there is overutilized.
East-West corridor, big problem, always has been. I've been here since 1988. When I came here from Texas, and I'm a Colorado native for everyone's interest, born in Denver, but one thing that I noticed even in the 80s, we had in Texas a loop. We don't have an east-west corridor to easily get from one side to another. Mayor-elect?
That's a hard thing to do, just create new roads or anything like that. I think the Powers extension needs to happen to the interstate. And then you have somewhat of a loop. But I think PPRTA and major arterials maybe need some expansion, but I don't envision anytime soon a major realignment of corridors.
We're just so people recognize, through PPRTA, we're doing some significant work on Woodman, and we're expanding that area out by Woodman and Union. That'll make that will be one of our major east-west corridors, because it goes all the way to the interstate, and all the way out to Highway 24 if you get all the way out to Falcon. So that's going to be very significant, and we're in the process of doing that. Council just approved the securing of the properties so that process can move forward, and it is in the budget for PPRTA, which I chair that board.
And finally, if you would address the camera, Mayor-elect, and talk to those constituents who voted for you, and for those who perchance didn't vote for you, if you have something to say to them, sir.
You bet. As I said last night, I was overwhelmed to get 68% of the vote. I need the support of all the citizens of Colorado Springs going forward. Because as President Bennett said, this is really going to take unprecedented levels of collaboration, leadership, and community involvement. We can't solve some of these major issues alone. and infrastructure in particular. We're going to need the input and the cooperation of all the citizens of Colorado Springs to come up with a solution that's going to be as least painful as possible. There's going to be, I think, pain involved anytime you're dealing with infrastructure problems that are, several $100 million. But I think what you see here is a commitment to make sure that there's great communication between your political leaders and great communication to the community about what needs to be done and then how we go about doing it.
Council President Bennett, please go ahead and address the camera and talk to your constituents as well.
I agree with John as well. I believe the citizens that voted for all of us in the city council election and now in the mayor's election have an expectation that we will work in the best interest together to help solve these problems for all the citizens of the community, not just the ones that voted for us but for everyone. The days of identifying, well, who should do this, who should do that. We need to be solution-oriented, and John used that word just a few seconds ago, that we need to find solutions. I had a quote one time that it's easy to identify a problem, but it's hard work to find solutions. And that's what we're committed to doing. I think that's what the citizens expect from us, and I'm speaking for the council. Every member of council is committed to working closely with the administration to find the best solutions to make this a great city.
All right, thank you so much,
Hey,
Mayor-Elect
thanks,
John
Eric.
Suthers.
Appreciate it.
Council President Merv Bennett, thank you so much. And thanks to
Merv.
all of you
All right.
who are watching today live on Gazette.com, because obviously, as the headline states, loud and clear, the message was heard. Mayor-Elect John Suthers, a new dawn in Colorado Springs history. And we'll, of course, be watching here at the Gazette and reporting and talking with Mayor-Elect Suthers and also Council President Merv Bennett as the months and years progress. Until then, I'm Eric Singer at Gazette.com. Have yourself a great day.